They say history remembers kings for their victories, but sometimes it remembers them for their mysteries. And Tutankhamun, his entire life felt like a secret wrapped in gold. Imagine this, a grand palace drowning in rumors, advisors whispering in corners, the royal court tense. And in the middle of all that, a 9-year-old boy being told, "You are now the Pharaoh of Egypt." Nobody knew whether to feel hope or fear. From the moment Tutankhamun stepped into the throne room, something felt off. The torches flickered as if the walls themselves were watching. Generals studied him carefully. Priests exchanged strange glances, and the people outside the palace gates waited desperate to know if this child could save a dying kingdom. Because Egypt wasn't just unstable, it felt cursed. Temples abandoned, gods forgotten, tensions boiling underneath everything. His father, Akhenaten, had changed too much too fast, and the kingdom was cracking under the pressure. And now the solution to that chaos was a boy whose feet didn't even touch the floor when he sat on the throne. That first night as king, Tutankhamun couldn't sleep. Strange chants echoed from distant temples and messengers moved through dark corridors carrying sealed scrolls. Everyone seemed to be hiding something from him and from each other, but Tut noticed everything. He wasn't loud, he wasn't dramatic, but those quiet eyes, they were sharp enough to see through lies. As days passed, he realized the truth. If he didn't act, Egypt might collapse from within. And that's when the boy king made a move no one expected. He reversed his father's radical changes and restored the old gods, something many feared to even whisper. Overnight, temples reopened, statues long buried were pulled from the sand. And while people celebrated, the palace grew even more tense. There were advisors who didn't want the old order back. There were powerful men who benefited from Egypt's confusion. And the more Tut restored balance outside, the more danger began to creep inside the palace walls. There were nights when he'd walk through the dim corridors and swear he heard footsteps behind him. Times when royal physicians whispered about illnesses that appeared to suddenly, and moments during council meetings where his own advisors watched him with eyes that didn't feel loyal. They felt calculating, but Tutankhamun stayed steady. He smiled for his people, he played the role of a calm, young pharaoh. But deep inside, he knew he was surrounded by shadows. And then just when Egypt began to rise, when faith returned, when the kingdom finally felt alive again, Tutankhamun's health collapsed. Too fast, too strange, injuries that didn't heal. Pain that doctors couldn't explain, and before he even reached 20, the boy who united a broken kingdom was gone. Whispers spread through Egypt like wildfire. Was it fate? Was it illness? Or was the palace hiding something darker? They buried him in a smaller tomb, rushed and quiet, as if they wanted his story to disappear with him. But mysteries don't stay buried. More than 3,000 years later, in 1922, when Howard Carter's candle flickered inside a forgotten tomb, the world felt that same tension again. The sealed door, the untouched treasures, the golden mask staring back with calm, haunting eyes. It was as if Tutankhamun had been waiting, watching, guarding a truth only he knew. And that's why his story still pulls us in. Because Tutankhamun isn't just a king from the past, he's a question that refuses to be answered. Outrow. So when you hear the name King Tut, remember this. He wasn't just a boy wearing a crown. He was a child surrounded by secrets, ruling a kingdom filled with shadows, fighting a battle he never asked for. His life was short, his death mysterious, but his legacy? It's the kind of story that refuses to stay silent. Maybe that's why, even after 3,300 years, we still feel the chill of his legend.